Oh! Oh my goodness. Oh wow. Welcome everyone. This is Rodri here with another video. This is a really warm, not too hot topic that we are going to dive in today, but it is probably hotter than a whorehouse or nickel night, okay? It is probably hotter than 2 nuts in a pair of Wranglers. The idea of somehow a super established game like World of Warcraft would ever die overnight is probably unheard of and strange. Just like you having a girlfriend is. World of Warcraft is a behemoth of a game. We all know that. I mean, this game, it's been around since the early 2000s, okay? Roughly, it is 19 years old, and at this point, it's probably more settled down, okay, and more established than your marriage, which I am assuming that you found a girlfriend that you soon realize you had to step out of the house and talk to women in order to do so. But okay, guys, all goofiness aside, after the major success World of Warcraft actually had, a avalanche of new MMOs came to life, okay? And these MMOs actually earned the name of sort of the WoW killers, all right? The games like Ion Online, Rift Online, okay? And for example, WildStar. They didn't even come even close, okay, to get players out of their home, right? To get players out of World of Warcraft, to get players out of Ironforge, right? Out of Orgrimmar, okay? Out of Stormwind City. Rift failed, Ion Online failed, and WildStar failed, and there's many more MMOs RPGs that they just like bit the dust. But what if there is a game, right? What if there is a game that when it comes out, it sucks millions of players out of World of Warcraft in such a short amount of time that Blizzard is forced to actually pay attention to the game? And have in mind, guys, whenever I talk about World of Warcraft in this manner, I am actually referring to retailed World of Warcraft, because again, classic World of Warcraft is never going to die, okay? And the reason for it is very simple. The power source that keeps this game alive is none other than nostalgia, okay? Plus, the game is pretty easy. I mean, the game is pretty easy to understand. You know, it's just like big weapon equals more damage equals more kill equals the best. Simple, plain and simple. And there's nothing more to it than just that. So by all means, you know, to get this out of the way, Classic is out of the picture. Classic is going to be an immortal MMO that all of us, we're gonna go back into play, and then we're gonna leave it. You know, we're gonna leave and then come back. All right. Retail, on the other hand, oh boy, retail is just getting worse and worse. And you know, it's sort of like Blizzard is just a shell. All right, Blizzard is not the same Blizzard that we knew back in 2004 anymore. So with that being said, you know, don't expect retail to sort of come out strong on the other end. If anything, it's just killing itself. To start talking about the nitty-gritty of this video, we are just going to talk about Ashes of Creation. That's right, the game that I think personally that is going to actually kill WoW once and for all is Ashes of Creation. All right, and to start off, we need to go ahead and start talking about what Ashes of Creation is already doing that World of Warcraft hasn't, okay? And hasn't yet, and probably would never be able to do what Ashes of Creation is trying to do, okay? So basically, Ashes of Creation is a unique take on the MMO genre, okay? On the MMO experience, meaning that there's going to be world structures. The world is going to be dynamic, right? So it's, you know, say goodbye to the static worlds as we know it. The world is going to be a changing and moving piece, all right? And these pieces are gonna come in together into the forms of, like, you know, areas that change over time, so players don't experience the same bull crap. So Ashes of Creation, the MMO as we know it so far, is going to be basically a dynamic world, okay? And that's something very unique that no other MMO has tried in the past. Now, you could say, what do Ashes of Creation brings to the table, right? As we spoke previously. To dive in deeper into this approach, when I talk about, you know, the world changing and evolving over time, this means that the world is going to be influenced, shaped, and reconstructed by the player base. You might ask yourself, how is the world going to be changed and reconstructed through the player base? Well, by actually player housing, right? So player housing is something that World of Warcraft never had, all right, and it probably never will. All right, you know, when I talk about player housing, I'm talking about, you know, you actually owning something. Okay, I'm not talking about strongholds. I'm not talking about that little bunker you made, you know, back in the day. That's just not. It's kind of, but it's really not. Okay, player housing in basic terms, it is a player's own accommodation in the forms of apartments, freeholds, inns, and static housing. As of now, a player can own up to one of each type of housing at the same time, with the difference being the static housing and apartments are one per server and the freeholds are one per account. Okay, players will have the ability to survey and develop land anywhere in the world. Once this land is taken, you can actually cultivate resources and supplies. You can do this on the far and most isolated part of the world, or actually choose to buy an apartment in a city well established and live a lavish life in a concrete jungle. On to the next one, we have nodes. Ashes of Creation will be a living, breathing, and reactive world. Your actions will shape the zones of influence while leveling nodes to form massive cities, and created the story of the world that everyone experiences. Okay, this makes the world so unpredictable that for the most part, if I were to actually guess, depending on how well the nodes turned out to be, could potentially make Ashes of Creation become the new sensation of the blog. This will be one of the things that will launch Ashes of Creation and make this game pop off. This is one of the main core features that Ashes of Creation is bringing to the table that none of these MMOs in the past have actually tried. Now we can actually move on to more of a simpler approach to MMOs, right? You know, what do you do in MMOs in general? You level up, and then you might ask yourself, how is Ashes of Creation sort of setting itself apart from the traditional MMOs? Leveling won't follow a traditional linear path, okay? Although classic mechanics for leveling do exist, players will have the option to rush their vertical progression to level cap or spend time building infrastructure through horizontal progression. Right? Vertical progression, it basically places an emphasis on strengthening the equipment at your disposal rather than applying the equipment differently or using alternate gear or abilities to succeed at various scenarios. While horizontal progression offers elements that actively cater to individualistic strategy building rather than equipping characters to face the latest content the MMO world can throw at them. Horizontal mechanics points towards the development of a wide range of characters' attributes that will weather any changes that lies ahead. When we talk about leveling, one word comes to mind as well, right? At least in my head, is Ashes of Creation grindy. Well, repetition will not be a part of the progression in Ashes of Creation. Pretty much there will be no grindy quests, guys. There will be no repetitive quest lines through a single dungeon to obtain gear, for example. Basically the aspiration is to have so many things to do in game that players won't really need to grind due to the lack of content or quests. Ashes of Creation is actually making something very new, right? You know, the node concept and trying to make the world dynamic, it's a really different approach and a unique approach that they're taking here. They're not really trying to reinvent the wheel, but they surely are making a brand new wheel, okay? Well, boys, if all of this sounds fun to you, it does put a smile on my face when I see that there is a chance that we might receive a banger of a game in the near future, okay? Especially MMOs. Well, I love MMOs. I've always played MMOs. I am a MMO Andy primarily, okay? I have more hopes for this game to be good than I have actually hopes for my receding hairline to stop growing, okay? This game, guys, is looking truly amazing. Aside from all I have mentioned, this game has everything World of Warcraft retail won't have. The owner is the founder and director of the game, and as of now is basically free of any sort of like greedy investors. Okay, so there's no greedy investor out there, you know, sort of like smothering the fingers in the pie. And again, this by itself says a lot about the future of the game, because at the beginning it looked like a very ambitious project, with time turned into a very solid foundation, and as of now it became the underdog that I'm rooting for. Well guys, this is the end. If you like the content, don't forget to hit that sub button alongside the bell notification. Would appreciate it if you do so. By the way guys, I do stream on Twitch as well. You can actually find me over there at Rodri Max Live. Okay, so with that being said, goodbye guys, have a good nice rest of the day, and until the next one, Rodri out.